Hello everyone, it's Antanas Jurevičius aka Tom 10, and this time I'm standing at the starting line of marathon race Birkebeinerrittet, which happened to be in Norway. So one day you're here, one day you're there. It's amazing what can happen in such a short time frame, but about everything few moments later. Enough about wheels. It's time get into the deals. As you probably already understood, I flew there with an airplane. It was on Friday, and next day we've been racing on Saturday starting from the Rena city in Norway. About everything in a moment.
Noen fantastiske prestasjoner for mange I Birken-sammenheng.
So the gun was fired out, and I tried to keep my pace in the beginning as much as possible. And there are a lot of details to cover. I'm not even sure where to begin with. Maybe to the point where I forgot to start the Garmin, but thankfully it was auto start after 10 kilometers per hour speed, and it started itself. So even though I forgot it, well, sometimes it happens, especially when you are abroad and you are very stressed out to stand in the first line at the start. The thing is that even though I started in the beginning of the gate and pushed quite intensely to the first uphill on this paved road, it happened to be that no one from my gate kept with the same speed as I did, so I was the only one. And after this corner I noticed that one guy is trying to, so I reduced the tempo a bit in order for him to catch me, because, well, at least we would be two of us. So in the end he managed to drove after me, and we shared the road for a while. And you probably wonder, well, there are a lot of other guys in the course, Thomas. What the hell is happening? It's only 6 minutes and you are overtaking everyone like hell. Maybe you missed and started the wrong race. Well,
you speak English? I don't know. Yeah. So it seems like we are only two from our seed to race. And I'm barely keeping up with you, huh? Stick with it.
So yeah, we've been two of us from our 21st seed. And the race here happens that you arranged your order of starting place arranged by your past results. And if you haven't attended in the Birkebeiner in the past, that means you go to the gates which are unseeded, unless you participated in some races where you have classification for this one. So it's kind of similar example as it would be in Jeep, which happens in Lithuania, Jeep MTB race, where based on your previous results you are given a starting position. But here it is a bit different, because you could also showcase your results from other races, and that would indicate whether you are a strong or slow rider. However, I didn't do that because from one degree I just wanted to make sure to go on my own pace from the place where I kind of suit at this point, because I haven't participated in ever races. Of course I could have done it, but I had expectations that maybe in those unseeded gates there will still be people who are ready to go on the flow and to push a bit more. However, it was not the case at least in my seat, and you could have seen this guy overtook me, but he was the only one who managed to do that during the whole race, and he was on e-bike. So I started from 21st seat, and there was 22 overall, and at every seat there was from 100 to probably 200 people. So you can imagine that there are a lot of those. As usual, you can see some segments information from the race, and no, it's not a speed up version of us riding. Basically, it happened to be that the ones which I overtook here was running the course for their own pleasure, and some didn't even push at all. Others run at their pace and didn't put that a lot of extra effort. But in general, in first half an hour, as you can see here, I managed to catch like 3 or 4 seats which started 5 minutes before me, so it's like 20 minutes already on the course, even if not more. So that's how most of the race happened, and there was very few sections where you been alone on the course, but at the same time there was 0 wheels to share the course together, because it was just not on my pace. So yeah, how we managed to appear in the Norway, and what is the reason of this choice? Well, it's because I arrived here with 2 friends from Lithuania, and one of them already participated in this race multiple times, so he kind of offered us to join the trip and experience this journey. So we agreed, and that's how we ended up on Friday through an airplane. Just reached Oslo. Then we took the bus and the train, and finally we managed to reach the city where the start would happen. So we've been with luggages for bikes, and that's kind of the way how we traveled. And you can see that in the beginning of the course there was some paved road, there was some very wide gravel roads, and here it started to become a bit more loose, and because I didn't knew what the course is going to be like, and everyone is stopping significantly. You can see some personnel on the course, so you kind of don't know what to expect. Maybe some sketchy situations can be here, and actually it didn't, but just those people on the course were very scared of that loose gravel, and they just stopped to make sure not to start rolling too fast. So it's a bit sketchy to go over them, because they might make fast choices which are not predictable, but everything went fine, and in general whole course was run issues free. If you inform anyone that you are coming from their left or right, they were happy to let you in front. So that was just casual race as it is, just with different speeds. So yeah, I traveled with Antanas Jurevičius and Antanas Budreckis. Budreckis here was for the first time, and Antanas was Jurevičius. So funny thing that they were both Antani. so it was difficult to communicate with them. Anyways, Jurevičius started from the 3rd seed, while we started from 21st and 22nd, so you can have imagination how different the gates looked like. So basically Antanas Jurevičius was running the course with all the guys who was similar paced or even faster than he was. And here everyone started to go off the bike. I decided to at least give it a try, but as you can see that the stones were too loose, and without knowing the best place on the course, it was just impossible to ride, and even elite ones probably was not able to climb this. So here's for the first time I managed to pick up the bike and do not roll it while I walk the bike and hike the bike. I just grab it on my shoulder, and actually it was quite good experience because I usually just do it this way, as you can see here. But then I decided that at least I should give it a try, because here it was a bit less steep, but it was a bit complex to do so, as everyone is going on their own pace and taking the space on the course. But somehow I managed to pass them through, and here was yet another area where I had to find a way. So as you can see, there are a lot of people with backpacks. To be honest, everyone is with backpacks, and I will explain about this a bit later, but it's not because everyone was carrying sandwiches, coffee and water. Maybe some did, but not all of them. So don't think that we were thirsty. Actually, to say something about liquids or food, the food points were like from 10 to 15 kilometers all over the course. So probably somewhat around 15 kilometers there was a food point, and you could eat, you can drink. That was very great support from organizers. Technically you could bring only one bottle of water, and probably it would be enough to go over the whole race. And here you can see the segment it was, but I cut the footage too early. Anyways, you will be able to see those informations on the video as I upload full on board, so you will be able to also find yourself if you appear at the top 10. Probably unlikely, because those were from elite guys most often, but maybe. So here I try to motivate the spectators. Didn't work out. Probably it's not a good idea to do this in the first 30 kilometers, because but anyways, we are not going to change their location, so they should do their job, I guess. So you can see that it was a never-ending overtake of the day.
Water.
Usually in those drink points I prefer just water. Sometimes I pick that electrolytes drink, but because I use gels all the time, only water is more preferable for me. And on the course there was some markings which indicated that if you are going to or plan to go slower, you should keep your right path on the double track, or otherwise if you are fast you should go on the left one. So basically it's
Hey, is all good?
yeah, so not everyone kept that rule to staying on the proper double track, but most often it was good. And that was a situation where
From your left.
one guy just kept lying on the grass and barely moved, so for some reason no one asked how it was, but it didn't look very nice. But I asked, is it all good? And he showcased thumb up, so hopefully he was just resting after a bit of an uphill. Hopefully. I didn't mention yet that I was running the course with full suspension bike, so you can see that my average of watts and BPM on the 6th lap was as on the table on the top left. So I was running on the full suspension bike. Was it a good decision? No, it wasn't. A lot of participants was riding the bikes with either hardtails or even hardtails with rigid fork. So you can imagine that going this course on the full suspension bike was an overkill. Why I chosen to do that? Well, because for most of the season I rode on the fully, so because there are a few races left where fully is going to be needed for me, I just chosen to go on it, and actually I don't think I lost very much time. Of course some, but riding those type of tracks, which was more like 10% at the most of the course overall looks and feels, you can imagine that fully was not the fastest choice, I would say. But as usual, it was comfy, it was rolling very nicely even on those gravel roads, which not always was very straight and equal. Here was Lithuanian guy. So yeah, that was a Lithuanian which lives in Norway, and occasionally it happened to be that he saw the stories I shared one day before the race, and that's how he managed to spot me. That was a nice talk with him, and after the race we also shared some of our experiences on the course, and he informed me that up front there's going to be a steep uphill, very steep one, and while I agree that it was quite steep, for some reason it didn't stick to me very hardly, because during the race I always checked what Garmin showcases, and I saw that the first climb of the day was maybe not that steep, but it was a lot longer, so that was kind of a mental game which enabled me to prepare for this climb, and it wasn't the hardest one for me, but some really suffered on this one. And here I expected to get some water, but there was no water, only some beverage, which I didn't try it, and raisins, because this mountain was the raisins one. So yeah, I talked quite a lot already, and probably it's the time, if nothing important happens, to share why everyone is going with the backpacks. Well, so the backpacks are somewhat 3.5 or 6 kilograms in weight, and the race itself was held since 1993, and it kind of commemorates a trip made by Birkebeinerrittet loyalists to save their hire to the Norwegian throne. So it happened in 1206, so 1206 years. So it's like more than 800 years ago, someone managed to save the crown and the throne of Norwegian by carrying the child, which was like 1 year old, and that's the reason we were carrying that 3.6 kilograms of backpack. And here was a photograph from Sportograph. So as usual, I add those pictures into the highlights videos just because it's nice to see how you looked on the course from the photographer's third-person view. And whenever the race has Sportograph photographers, here I made a wave with the spectators. So yeah, whenever Sportograph photographers are on the course, after the event you can purchase the photos for one picture for like up to 10 euros, and all pictures from 20 to 40 euros or something like that. So I tend to purchase them just because the quality is high, and you can reuse those pictures in these type of scenarios. And actually by the end of this race there were quite a lot of those. So you could have seen how I managed to stick my knee outwards in order to not fall off the bike on those slippery gravel roads. In some parts it was real difficult to make overtakes, because if you stick on this pathway which is already driven, that's an easy game. But if you go outwards, it's just a risk to do. Then you are flying from 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. And it's also sketchy in case if someone changes direction. So you can see that the difference from the first place here was 15-17 seconds, but I didn't manage to fit even in top 200 because there were a lot of people in similar speed. And here, almost 3 hours into the race, I finally found some guys who are running at least in similar speed like I do, and if I would want to, I probably could just sit on their wheel and we would just finish the race. But 30 seconds afterwards I decided that, well, I came here not to conserve energy but to spend it all, and I left them even though they were on my wheel for quite a lot of time, like 2 minutes or so, maybe a bit more. I just put the pedal to the metal and drove away. So our plan with Antanas Jurevičius was that maybe we could somehow fit into the 3 hours time mark. Not the case. No chances for us, at least not on that day, not on those bikes, and most likely not with these foot. But here we can see that we are coasting down on 60 kilometers per hour, and up front there are some curves on the path. So doing some F1 knowledge into the racing. So yeah, we thought that maybe we could fit into 3 hours, or at least try to, but after there were like 15 kilometers left, and I understood that no chance this time around. maybe the faster fellows on the course up front, I would have pushed a bit more, and maybe it could be closer to 3 hours, but you can see that others struggling quite a bit on this downhill. So yeah, we arrived here for 1-day race, and on Sunday we went to the Oslo. We had some riding there, and on Monday we were already flying back to Lithuania. Was it a good experience? It definitely was, even though the course was, I would say, not kind of a mountain bike like, but more gravel road, suitable, but of course on hardtail with narrow tires you could squeeze quite a bit more on those gravel roads. And overall I would probably go next year or in some future years to such events just to experience racing with the top guys, because in my age group from 30 to 34, yeah, it was 5 years gap. So the leader finished in 2 hours 37 minutes, and he was from elite group, so it means like I was half an hour slower, almost half an hour, a bit more than half an hour. So he was in my group, and he overall won the race. So that means elite riders are in my age group, which doesn't help, of course, but there are plenty of guys who could you roll the course together. So here's how we finished our racing in Norway. Hopefully you managed to take something out of these highlights. Maybe you decided to participate in the race maybe next year, or if you want to see the full on board and check how the race looked like, I will add the link in the comments or somewhere around the place. If you like this type of content, you can definitely subscribe to my channel and on all other social media platforms. That said, thanks for your time, and I hope to see you around.